I don't know if this world can handle 2 Ferdinands, but mine somehow managed to figure out how to birth another Ferdinand into the world. Now, granted, it was partly Ferdinand's fault. He technically finished that whole bit. That whole bit with the whole mana infusing thing for Angelica's sword was like one of the funniest bits of this entire series. That whole bit, like before it starts to talk, it's like, what we're gonna do if it suddenly, became your ownership? Oh, I just, command it to follow her orders. Angelica's like, yeah, as expected of Master. She knows exactly what she's talking about. And Ferdinand's like, you fool. And yeah, the sword starts talking. It legit has Ferdinand's voice. And at some point, they're getting the discussion about how this thing's going to be super naggy. It's supposed to be Angelica's intelligence, which is kind of funny. This idea of Angelica who doesn't like to, study. She's hard pressed to learn new things. She doesn't like studying. She finds that to be extremely boring. So now she has a blade that will support the one thing that she doesn't have. That was the whole wish itself, was I want it to, to handle my shortcomings. Angelica's like, please give it the other affinities that I don't really have right now. I want it to be able to, handle my shortcomings. And mine's like, she's pretty stupid, so please give her intelligence. Mine's like, Angelica's dumb, so please help her not be dumb. And legit, that manifests into Ferdinand. Mine literally, again, it implies that Ferdinand was the finishing touch to it. Maybe potentially his mana being infused into it makes it Ferdinand. But I think it really is probably a thing where mine herself, in infusing the mana into the blade, she manifests Ferdinand. I need intellect to be in the sword. She put Ferdinand in it, and then his mana sort of just finished it off. I think that's literally what they're implying there. But maybe the novel gets into more details. But it's just, again, suddenly I started talking, and mine's like, oh, this thing's gonna be incredibly naggy. And Ferdinand immediately is like, is that what you mean? Starts pinching her on the cheek. It's so great. It was so great. But I'm kind of curious at this point, like, what this thing's going to be in regards to its intelligence. It implies the idea that mine and them are going to have to give information to it, not that it's going to be default having the information. That's the curious thing. There could be an element where Ferdinand may have, in putting his mana into it, could have bestowed some of his knowledge into it. But I'm curious at this point how it's going to work. I'm assuming it's going to be like a clean slate. And from this point on, they're going to have to give information to it. And maybe potentially having it in a room during classes and stuff like that is going to give it that information. He literally becomes like a studying partner for her. So like literally a strategist. She's going to always have this sword at her side that's a strategist, which is actually pretty cool. Like, I admit, the moment it started talking, it kind of gave me a little bit of that, like, ick, just like with the whole, like, car monster dog thingamajiggy raccoon that she has. Like, that whole car raccoon thing is kind of cheesy and corny and kind of, pushes me a little bit out of the belief area of this world, but it's still okay because it kind of just works in the end, because, again, it's sort of like the ultimate support character for Angelica. She's not smart. She's got problems with learning things, so he's going to always be at her side to say, do this, or, hey, that wouldn't be a good move. You might want to do this instead. Oh, there's something going on. You might want to take this route because it might be the best option. She can use this blade to literally give her the information that she needs to be the perfect combatant. It's really cool in the end if it kind of goes that route. And again, I already had the suspicion early on with the idea of her infusing mana into her blade and making this thing incredible that eventually Angelica is going to be like going to play some pivotal role later on in the story to, support mine, be her knight forever. So it's really cute. And again, I like Angelica. She's just absolutely adorable. I love her Seiyu. So it all kind of works in the end to have like this Ferdinand Angelica blade thing here. Like it's kind of like reincarnated as a sword. Like I literally had that thought there. Like, oh, so it's literally like the reincarnated as a sword. So it's like the sword daughteru kind of story. She doesn't have the, cat ears thing going on like, reincarnated as a sword, but close enough. But yeah, overall, really solid episode. I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season, which again, unfortunately, is not saying too much because I haven't been extremely satisfied with this season overall, but it was a really good episode. We had a lot of, stuff to go through. So let's just kick things off in the beginning, opening up the episode with the teleportation room, sending off Sylvester and everybody, implying that, this grandfather of the family is going to be taking over as Lord while he's gone. Anybody, I'm kind of curious if there's anybody out there that really didn't know this was going to be a big teddy bear. I think the moment I seen this grumpy face and mine's like, oh, he looks like he's more bronze than brain or something like that. And every single time they go to replenish, he's constantly glaring. He always says, feedback to Wilfred, Wilfred, you look like you were kind of struggling there. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, grandfather, I'm doing perfectly fine. Thank you. And Mine's like, thank you for your concern. They go to leave, and he's always glaring at her. I'm like, he's probably concerned about her. But the question mark was like, why isn't he saying something? And I can just imagine, like, inside, he's just thinking, I figure it was going to be one of those things where I can't gush. I want to gush how cute she is. Oh my gosh, you're so cute, and wants to pinch her cheeks, but he wants to keep his status. Like, he wants to look like he's the big grown-up. He wants to present himself like that. I thought that was going to be the case, but no, it turns out that yeah, he was commenting about how she was extremely weak because she can't even walk around without getting all, like, passing out and stuff like that. And then at that moment, he thinks back to this moment where they were playing snowballs and she literally just collapses on the ground. He's like, oh yeah, that's definitely true, that I can't say anything to her. So it's literally just come down to the fact that he doesn't want to open his mouth because he's afraid that he's going to literally cause her to die. Like, if I speak, I'm going to say something wrong and she's going to literally just die. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's going to happen though eventually. It sucks that it looks like Sylvester's already back, so they had their, like, last chance to connect. I figured he was going to show up, like, right at the last minute. Like, when she's in there in the books, again, he was going to come there and say, I can't help it, I need to say something, but another day, right? Another day, but that was a goofy little bit there. Yeah, Sylvester's gone. Mine wants to just dive into the books constantly, but Rihard is keeping her busy, constantly keeping her busy, can't do anything, has to constantly be doing all of her little chores, embroidery, everything like that, eventually going into preparing for the tea party, which she has to do herself, going in there, doing that whole thing, eventually revealing the outfit they made for Brigitte. I like the sort of concept that she has here, and it makes sense, the idea of having some sort of fashion group or something like that that's tailor-making outfits, is the idea of not necessarily presenting it as a trend, but more so presenting the service. I think that's sort of what she's doing here. Rather than going, here's Brigitte, here's her new outfit, and everybody going, oh, I want that outfit, and then suddenly everybody starts making copies of that outfit, and it creates a trend, like they were kind of mentioning that with Rosamai in her new position, that's what she's going to be doing as a daughter of the Archduke. But what they're actually presenting here is not, don't make this a trend and just copy it. Come to us, and we will tailor make outfits for you. Now, I don't know why she's doing that, because that basically makes her tied down to the company to have to give all these different concepts to the team to make for every single person that comes there, but it makes it more expensive. It makes it more expensive. It makes it more sought out for. I don't know. Maybe that's what she's doing. We'll see. But I like the idea here of, like, yeah, technically, you can't just chase other trends. Whatever works for this person isn't necessarily going to work for you. So it's the idea of making it fit for you. We'll do that for you kind of thing, which is, again, if she can get somebody that kind of gets her taste there, gets her style there, and maybe she puts some input here or there, and she teaches them a lot of this stuff, it could work in the end. She could show her different designs and whatnot, and they can kind of tailor fit it that way. But either way, really cool seeing her there, and everybody loving it. Everybody teasing Brigitte. It was super cute. So, after that, we get Angelica passing. Everybody's relieved, like, oh gosh, we finally was able to drill it into her head, and it actually worked. But yeah, that transitioned to her, doing good on her wish there, that she's going to, grant her some mana into her sword, which is interesting here because they mention the fact that she wants specifically not just mana infused into it, she wants specific types of elements infused into it. Ones that she lacks, and apparently she has, what was it, water, or fire and wind. She has fire and wind, and there was a potential there of her putting the other ones in there, but it seems like, again, right off the bat, Eckhart's like, stop, what are you doing? We end up finding out from Ferdinand that, yes, apparently putting too much mana into it will cause it to change its owners. Now, that's odd that everybody in that room seemed to know about infusing mana into it, but nobody seemed to know that you can change its ownership. That seems like a pretty important thing. That was a little bit of an odd thing there, that everybody in that room, which is like, 4 people that knew about the whole mana blade thing that explained it to her, nobody knew about this. Eckhart, nobody else that knew about this whole situation heard that Mine was going to do this as a repay. That was a little bit odd. That was a little bit odd there, but it could just be simply the idea that most people infusing mana into a sword isn't going to give it that much. So nobody knows about it because nobody's ever infused that much mana into something, whereas Ferdinand and Eckhart, they know that Mine has an insane amount of mana and she could overcome it. That's probably more the case there. It's just a rare instance that this would actually happen, and Mine is going to cause that rare instance. So that's sort of what I assume there. But either way, yeah, I love this whole scene. It was just so freaking funny. Just constantly the bickering back and forth. Ferdinand blaming mine. What did you do? I didn't do anything. No, it was actually this. It was actually the last bit of mana. So it was you, Ferdinand. I didn't do anything. I just put a little bit in there to check it. It was just this funny little, like, who actually pulled it off? Who actually did this? It was dorky. And again, the whole aspect of there being another Ferdinand in the situation is very interesting. It's very interesting. Again, I think it opens the door to a very unique character in Angelica. Even though I love all the characters of this series and they all have their special thing, like I love Benno and his sort of like, you know, taking care of mine, the business side of things, while still being kind of a little bit selfish himself. Lutz, of course, is like one of my favorite characters. Tuli, I mean, God, I love seeing how Tuli has slowly over time, you know, developed as a character and matured. It's just absolutely fantastic. I love the characters in the series, but I think this might be a really unique one that I think I'm going to be very curious to see how she sort of progresses over time with this sword, obviously. But after this, we have them, of course, going after some, you know, materials. They want to get a lot of information together in order to sell them as sort of like study things. It kind of implied the idea that we're getting information for the sword itself, but then it kind of quickly shifted into we're getting it to sell it. So that was a little bit odd, but it does make sense, the idea that, yes, a lot of these individuals that are more low nobles are going to be probably, you know, taking down notes and doing a lot of the work in the class for the higher nobles, for them to pay them for it, so they don't have to worry about being there for the classes. They just have these lower nobles handle all the note taking for them. That's when we cut over to Tuli and the parents, and them mention the fact that, yes, they're going to be transferring her to Karina's workshop, and they're all really excited about the fact that she's now going to be working for the Gilberto company. Eventually going to see Lutz helping him out with some shopping, using Rosamine's credit card. I like the fact that he goes there with them and they're like, oh, we don't have the money for all this stuff. He's like, don't worry, I have mine's credit card. Mine told me that I can swipe her card whenever you guys need it. Don't worry. Lutz over here just like carrying her purse for her. Kind of cute. It actually is kind of cute. But I mean, it makes sense. Again, he's entrusted by her to handle everything over here because she can't be here. And she has all this money that she doesn't need this money. She literally doesn't need any of this money. So it's like, Lutz, handle this part of it. Just swipe the card whenever you need it. But yeah, that eventually transitioning into the mom saying, you know, thanks for Lutz, you know, taking care of them. And Lutz being a little bit uncertain whether or not he's going to always be around for them. Now, I'm not really sure why this was even a concern for him. I guess that does make sense, the idea that they might end up in different regions. But I don't know why them being in different companies is suddenly going to make it to where he can't take care of any kind of need they have. Like, Tuli's going to easily come to Lutz no matter where they're working at, and he's going to help them out. He's probably going to be able to support them. But I guess it's more the idea that within the same company, he can't help her out with business-related stuff. Business-related. Again, it was kind of an odd statement here. I guess it is just the growing concern that he has that they're all going to be separated at some point because this change in the company. Because, yes, eventually, Benno does come to mind with the idea that they need to split the companies up. And again, the concern there arises of what happens to Tuli. Well, Tuli's going to be, you know, signed a contract to one of these companies, these shops, which is fine, but if you ever shift around, she can't come with you. She's going to be tied into that shop. Okay, well, let's make her own workshop. It was a little bit odd. That conversation didn't really make too much sense to me, the idea that it was a concern that she's going to be tied down to the shop. But it does make sense to me, the idea that if she has her own workshop, if we make a Tuli workshop, then she can basically be very flexible in that regard. Now, again, they're making jokes, the idea that she's going to end up running off to another duchy because she's going to find a library somewhere. It's fine right now that she's tied down to here if you stay here in this region. But we know you. If some duchy again shows up and offers... I actually made a joke. I think it was last week. I think last week made a joke about the idea that she could essentially betray like an entire kingdom if she's offered a library. Yeah, if she finds a library somewhere and is offered that you can always just study there 24/7, she's going to drop of the hat, you know, betray them. In that case, yes, she's leaving Tuli behind. So I guess the idea here is that if she has her own workshop, she's going to be able to, I guess, be more flexible. It was a little weird. It was a little weird of a conversation here, but I guess it kind of makes sense. But it was cute, though. Lutz, you know, taking care of the mom and Tuli. I absolutely adore Lutz, and there's a side of me that almost kind of wonders if in the end Lutz would end up with Tuli. I think that was sort of a thought process that I had at some point. I don't think Lutz would ever end up with mine. I kind of want it, you know, as they grow out older and whatnot. But I think for right now, I think mine and Lutz's relationship is always going to remain. And it's a lot to do with the fact that he's a commoner. Unless she was able to change something I don't know that she can technically even be with Lutz in the end. So I always kind of was more shifting to the possibility that Lutz would end up with Tuli. And so I kind of love these little moments where they're kind of working together. But other than that, we had at some point, they finished the book that's going to be for Tuli's little 10th birthday, which is super cute. And when I seen that cover, I'm like, oh, that's what she's making for her birthday. How adorable. She made a little booklet of mom's stories. A very unique and special gift. That's what I think the nice thing about it. It's like a unique, very special gift for her. So it's adorable. It's adorable. And then getting a little conversation about them splitting the companies, which I don't think it's really a big deal. It might... I don't know. There's a side of me that I don't think it necessarily should be a big problem, just because they're still technically the same people. It's just different names for the different branches. But it seems to be implying this is going to be a big deal. So I'll be curious to see how this all plays out, if it will be as significant as it seems to play out. Because I don't see this being a problem. I don't know why they're making this into a big problem. And I can even see a lot of these companies not really being fooled by this. Ben was like, we need to split this up because all these companies are getting angry at us. I'm like, I don't know that's going to make a difference. They're still going to be under you in some way, unless he literally gives up these companies, which I don't think he's going to. He's probably still going to be some sort of CEO or something of these companies. But we'll see. We'll see. It might surprise me. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Good episode overall. Had a lot of fun with this episode, but hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. Till next time, y'all take care.